Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to the lesson on the paternal sister. If you've gone through the other lessons, this is the last one of the Zawil Furood. So this is the last of the 12 beneficiaries who have a fixed share, depending on who is inheriting. So what I've done again is I've written out the shares that the paternal sister receives, as is quite detailed. If you look at the first four categories and compare this to the granddaughter, you'll see that the granddaughter has a very similar role to the paternal sister. So the granddaughter in relation to the daughter and the paternal sister in relation to the full sister is a very similar relationship. So the first category or the first share is when there's a paternal sister alone and there's no full sisters, and in this case the paternal sister would get half. If there's two or more paternal sisters, and again there's no full sisters, then the paternal sister gets 2/3. And the important thing to remember is that rule again. The closer relatives usually disinherit those who are further away. So the full sister obviously has a double relationship to the deceased. They both have the same mother and father, whereas the paternal sister has a different this paternal sister has a different mother from the deceased, so has a more distant relationship. So how that plays out is that when there's one full sister, then the paternal sister completes the 2/3 rule, and she therefore gets a sixth. The full sister will get half, and the paternal sister will get a sixth. If there's more than one paternal sister, then they share the sixth. And therefore, if there's two or more full sisters, they receive the full 2/3, and therefore the paternal sister she receives nothing essentially. So if we draw that out again, deceased passes away, he has two or more full sisters, and he has a paternal sister, and he maybe has some other relatives, but let's just consider these two. The two more full sisters get 2/3, and the paternal sister is deprived. So that's that share. And again, I'd recommend, if you getting a bit confused in this, if you go back to granddaughters, I've explained these states in detail and how they work, and it's a very similar situation. Essentially, you have the daughter and the granddaughter. So obviously the daughter is a close relationship than the granddaughter, and so she essentially limits what the granddaughter can get when she's around. And similarly for the full sister and the paternal sister, the full sister will limit what the paternal sister gets when the full sister is around. Okay, that's the first four states. The fifth state is when there's a paternal brother with the paternal sister, and this again is very similar to the full sister and the full brother scenario, and also so it's very similar to that situation. And what happens when the paternal brother is residuary beneficiary, when he gets asaba, then he converts his sister, the paternal sister, into asaba, and the paternal brother gets 2 shares to every 1 share that the paternal sister gets. And then the sixth state is when there's daughters and or granddaughters, and essentially if there's no full sisters again, then the paternal sister will become asaba. She will have that same role as the full sister if the full sister is not there. So again, if you go back to the full sister video, this should become clear. And then the final state is when the paternal sister gets nothing, and that occurs when there's sons or grandsons or father, grandfather, so she'll be deprived if there's any of them. So I appreciate there's a lot of shares to remember, but the way to learn, the way to learn inheritance is not to try to memorize all these shares from the outset. It's to practice this, and it only becomes really clear when you start practicing. And in the next lessons, what I plan to do is to go through a number of examples and to illustrate all the different various shares, so you have a better understanding of how inheritance works and how it's done in practice, rather than just a theory. And that should help you to cement the ideas and to cement the understanding of